Hello, Dr. James Bogash, expert in health and longevity, and today we're going to talk about pre-COVID and what respiratory infections did to us before then. Because believe it or not, there was a time before 2020 where people actually had problems with things like influenza, certainly bacterial infections, but my contention throughout these past 4 years, and Lord, if you spend any time on X, formerly known as Twitter, you would think that we should have all died already, if not going to die by, I don't know, Thursday. So the thing that we forget is that COVID, SARS-CoV-2, there wasn't really anything brand new that it did. Influenza is shown to infect the brain. It's definitely affected the heart, the blood vessels. It's not new. And so this particular study followed people for 20 years, collected data or looked back at 20 years of data on people at any type of respiratory infection. That includes even ear infections, but certainly respiratory infections. Influenza is definitely top of the list, but there's a long list of other viruses that cause lung problems. And they found that people were more likely, like 338% more likely to die after a respiratory infection. When they adjusted for things like age and sex, that number dropped down to 281%. The reality is, it's real. Influenza is bad for the heart if you're susceptible. Now, you could argue that maybe COVID is a little worse for the heart. You probably have a good argument for that, but it's not new. This isn't something that our body has never seen before, and that's what has frustrated me. If we took a magnifying or electron microscope and looked at influenza like we did COVID or SARS-CoV-2, we would see that it does much of the same things that SARS-CoV-2 has. We just never asked the question. And so this study really looked at that question in detail. So what does this all mean? The same thing it has, and the same thing I've been railing about. We have absolutely, completely missed the opportunity to educate people about, first of all, improving underlying metabolic health, which will lower your risk of dying from pretty much anything. Part of improving metabolic health also includes vitamin D. Vitamin D plays a pretty big role in respiratory tract outcomes, or respiratory tract infection outcomes, but also maintaining or building muscle mass, which is part of good metabolic health. But the more muscle mass you have, whether we measure it by phase angle, body composition, which is a great way to measure it, or whether we look at CT scan or anything in that range to look at muscle mass, people with better muscle mass are more likely to survive whatever life throws at them. And influenza infections absolutely are on this list. So instead of talking about something that we think is brand new, if we really realize that it wasn't brand new, what we should have been doing this entire time is educating people about better metabolic health, as well as increasing muscle mass and making sure we have ideal vitamin D or optimal vitamin D levels. As always, I will post a link to this particular study in the description. Make sure you like this video, share it with somebody who you think needs the information, and subscribe to the channel.